Joining us now, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson from his home state of Louisiana. Speaker, welcome back to Fox News Sunday. I know you're going to be part of a vigil tonight that is about Charlie's life, but more broadly about bringing this country back together. How do we do that?
We do that by carrying on his legacy.
America is grieving, divided, and questioning where we go from here. Speaker Mike Johnson says he has the answers. But do his words really bring the country together, or just fuel the divide?
This has been a very difficult week in America, to say the least, Shannon. People are very saddened. They're very angry. Many people are afraid. It cast a shadow across the country and certainly on Capitol Hill. But as Erica said so well, so clearly, our friend Charlie would not want us to be consumed by despair. He would want us to carry his message forward, and that's exactly what is going to happen.
Grief, fear, and despair. Johnson acknowledges it all. But the question is, will Congress actually change the rhetoric that got us here in the first place?
You can't call the other side fascists and enemies of the state and not understand that there are some deranged people in our society who will take that as cues to act and do crazy and dangerous things. And that's what we've seen in increasing frequency. So members of Congress and all public officials have an obligation to speak clearly into this and calm the waters. We can have vigorous disputes. I mean, Charlie Kirk was an expert at that. He loved debate. But Charlie also advanced another really important idea, and that is that he loved the people on the other side of that table. He was never motivated by hate. He was motivated by truth and love. And that's what we have to do. That's who we are as Americans. That is follows the best of our Judeo-Christian traditions and heritage and our civil society, and we have got to get back to that.
That's Johnson calling out political rhetoric. But critics argue that his own side has fueled just as much division. So is this self-reflection or selective memory?
There are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
A complete rewriting of history.
These people are full of and it's important for us to call them out while we feel anger and sadness and have, empathy.
And she was referring more broadly to a lot of people on the right that she says have now resulted in her having death threats and the need for around-the-clock security, which I know you've talked about. That's not something you can do for every member. It would cost billions of dollars. But what do you make of her characterization that he really wasn't about civil debate?
Harsh words from Omar, challenging the very legacy Johnson claims to defend. Two radically different narratives. One man's legacy caught in the middle.
He was a Christian, a committed believer. He understood what Scripture teaches, what you and I understand, Shannon, that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual darkness. And Charlie understood. He put on, as it says there in Ephesians 6, the full armor of God to go out and advance truth and do it in love. And that's exactly what he did. That's what his legacy stands for. And everyone around this country who is mourning his death understands that, in spite of what some of these voices are saying.
Notice the shift: faith, Scripture, and spiritual warfare. Johnson isn't just talking politics. He's framing this moment as a moral battle for America's soul.
We've got to advance and defend and protect the free marketplace of ideas, because vigorous debate is what made our country so great. But the key is to remember that you can disagree with someone vehemently on policy and not hate them as a person. And that's what Charlie was all about. Remember, at the end of his most vigorous debates, he was the very first person to reach out a hand of friendship, to put offer his arm around the shoulder of someone who disagreed with him vehemently, because he understood it was about the person, it's about the people, it's about the heart. And we've got to get back to that. We cannot shrink back from advancing that truth and advancing our ideas in the public square. We should double down. And I'm so encouraged by what Erica said, his dear widow, that she's going to go out and advance that herself. And that example is going to be very important for a lot of young people.
Free speech. Johnson calls it the bedrock of democracy. But here's the contradiction. His allies attack universities and media spaces where that speech lives. Can you really champion free debate while silencing the platforms that host it?
We may need a short gap funding measure, a CR, for a short period of time to allow the negotiation to continue, but it will be clean in its scope, and I surely hope the Democrats will not try to make this a big partisan fight.
Speaker Johnson, always great to see you. We'll see you back here in D.C. tonight. Thank you.
And just like that, we're back to politics as usual. A government shutdown looming, partisan finger-pointing, and the same Washington dysfunction that never seems to end. So here's the takeaway. Johnson says he wants healing, but the fight in Washington rages on. Is this really a turning point for America, or just another chapter in the endless cycle of grief, division, and gridlock?